Alright, hello everybody, Protobro here, infamous brother to Megabro. I'm going to do a Let's Play of Civil War II as the Confederacy. Now, I would note for some of you who are perhaps aware of this, I did start one previously. I got through to about January or February of 1862, and after doing that, felt like I had a much better grasp of the logistical system, the command structure, all that stuff. So I'm going to play it, and then also too, I think the best way to record this so that it's efficient. So I'm going to start this over. I don't only release like 2 videos, so I'm going to start this over. The recording is going to be tighter, so hopefully we can cover more in a shorter period of time. And I think perhaps you'll, if you're watching this to learn how to play the game, in addition to the tutorials that I'm providing, get a better idea, I think, of what's successful, what's not, and then kind of the explanations for that. Really quick with the options here, I'm not going to do Battle Planner, because again, I like to play like I'm the president, so I'm not going to tell my generals how to do the line of battle. We're not doing automated replacements. Foreign entry is at normal. We do have delayed commitment of small, which basically means that when the units come into contact with one another, they'll take a couple hours, if not days, depending on the commander's strategic rating, to engage in battle. We are having the fog of war. Activation rules as veteran. This always makes it really challenging because you don't know whether your commander successfully achieved an activation role or not. So you don't know if they're going to actually do what you want them to do. It's hidden from you, which I think is pretty historically accurate because you just never knew if your general is going to do what you want them to do. It's based on personality, their capabilities, all that stuff. We are not doing randomized generals because I think it's cool to play as, Robert E. Lee with the stats that Robert E. Lee would have probably had in Stonewall Jackson, all that stuff. Easy supply is off, which means it won't be automated. Says here, if easy supply option is active, then troops in regions with an unbesieged friendly structure will always be in supply. Nope, we're going to play realistic supply structure, so I'm going to rely more on depots and our transportation system. Traffic penalty, going to play it with low. Again, it was hard for me to tell with the last campaign how impactful this is, so we're going to play it with low for now. Let's try medium, and then we can bump it down. So basically what the traffic penalty does here for medium, then moving too many units in a given region within the same turn will provoke a traffic slowdown. So basically the developmental level of the region will impact that. I might do it here and then test it out and see which one seems to be more beneficial. So we'll start with low, and then maybe I can put it up to medium if it works out. Activation bonus to the AI is going to be +1. They recommend you do that when you have, I think, historical attrition. One of these, yeah, okay, so I think this one. So we give the AI +1 again. AI ranking is at normal. Detection, we gave the AI a little bit of a bonus so they can have somewhat predictability of what we're doing. And then aggressiveness is on normal for the Union. Very similar settings to what we had before. Alright, so we're going to play the full campaign as President Jefferson. Jefferson Davis, rather, so President Davis. Notice that we break the Union morale at any moment by controlling Memphis, Nashville, Richmond, Bowling Green, and Washington. That'll have a significant impact on the Union morale if we can hold all those at the same time for a prolonged period of time. Washington, D.C. being the main one. Okay, so just right off the bat, I want to let you know, I know one strategy is to go all-out offensive on D.C. as the Confederates and try and take D.C. in like early 62 or whatnot. Historically, really, D.C. was only open to capture in like April of 61. After that, it would have been really hard for the Confederacy, with the lack of resources they had available to them, to take and hold D.C. I don't think Lee ever really had any illusions that he could take D.C. unless he was able to destroy the Army of the Potomac first. So we're not going to do that. We're going to play a prolonged campaign, which definitely is disadvantageous to the Confederacy. The longer the war goes on, the less likely we are to succeed. But I think that's going to make for a more interesting playthrough, more challenging. Perhaps more likely we'll actually lose, but I think it'll make it fun regardless. So our strategy is not going to be an all-out offensive on DC. Instead, we're going to try and follow a little bit similar to what Lee did in 62 with the Antietam campaign, and maybe succeed through that, but that's going to be kind of the goal on the Eastern Theater and so forth. Really quick, let's go through strategy here. For those of you who are not watching my previous videos, we're going to go from far west to east. So far west here, I'm going to build some troops in El Paso, move them up as far as I can here. I'm hoping I can get western Arizona before the Union does, and then just hunker down here, at least short term. Maybe long term we'll look to go further up, but short term this will be our line of defense. I'm going to try and destroy these forts or capture them. So I may capture Fort Summer and keep it, or I may destroy it. More likely I'm probably going to destroy it because we do have a line of supply here. But then I'm going to try and take out these forts here so that he has much more difficulty coming down and attacking us if he decides to do that. So that'll be the kind of the far west theater. The Western Theater, as I call it, again, it's different than historically, so don't get confused with the historical picture. We're going to call Missouri the Western, Missouri and Arkansas. So basically anything this side of the Mississippi, this is Mississippi here, so anything in this side of the Mississippi, the Western Theater. We're going to try and burn and destroy these forts, along with these forts over here that go towards Colorado, but that's kind of a secondary goal. And then hold Springfield and Fayetteville. So these are strategic towns. Well, Springfield is, sorry, not Fayetteville. Losing strategic towns has a direct impact on your national morale and your victory points, so we're going to try and hold Springfield if possible. But I do kind of consider Fayetteville a strategic town because it directly supplies Springfield. Although Springfield does have a supply depot, I'm going to build a supply depot in Fayetteville in this area and push supply up here, so that's why I consider that a strategic location. So that's kind of your Western theaters, Missouri and Arkansas. Central theater is going to be the Mississippi. So I haven't decided yet if I'm going to try and take Cairo in 61. We'll see. It's definitely difficult to get a massive troops up there quickly because you have troops kind of being created slowly over time, and then your supply is very limited. So you don't have one in Memphis. Well, I think you do actually have one in Memphis. But you don't have anything really up here, so we're going to have to get supply depots up there. I'd like to put a supply depot at Humboldt, and that really I would need that before any kind of army size mass could push across, take Cairo. Because I would take Cairo with the intent of then pushing up to Salem and then perhaps St. Louis. That's the reason I would take Cairo. But if the Union counters with a larger force, say led by Grant or some other army, then we're probably going to have to flee back across the river. So I don't know, that's an option. Also depends when Kentucky comes in the war, because if it stays out of the war longer, that's more of an option. But if Kentucky comes into the war, then we're going to have to shift a lot of our resources over here to Bowling Green and then perhaps deeper into Kentucky, depending on the circumstances. Eastern Theater, I'm going to pull out of Western Virginia, which is here Clarksburg. The reason is just supply is right here, so you can send some supply trains up there. But beyond that, it's kind of a wait and see, or not a wait and see, a delay action. So I can kind of hold here for a few turns, but then at some point got to get out of Dodge. So once Clarksburg falls, the Union has a wide open route into the southern part of Western Virginia, which they're likely to do. However, it's all mountainous, all mountain and hills. Mountains right here, hills right here, so the supply is going to be lacking. Their movements are going to be a little bit slower, and so then I can use this area here as my line of defense until such time as I feel like perhaps I can push from Harper's Ferry along the rail line and go west or something like that. Speaking of which, I'm going to try and hold Manassas and Harper's Ferry as long as I can. And then if the opportunity presents itself, push into Alexandria, although that can be very difficult. Union just always outnumbers you over here, so I'm going to try and bulk up my Virginia force as much as possible, but we'll see. I am going to take Norfolk as soon as possible. Apparently, if you take it the first turn, you have militia here. It's scripted so that the North will just flee and run, which they historically did do, and apparently you get a little bit better reward from that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to take Fort Monroe. I'd like to. My last playthrough, I attempted that, but they put some ships here in the coastal waters, and it basically blockaded me from crossing this little strip of water here, which is real tiny. You can't see it, but this fort is isolated on its own, and that kept me from getting across, so that foiled that attempt. Finally, last but not least, my coastal defense strategy will be this. I gotta hold Mobile, New Orleans, Charleston, which is over there, perhaps Pensacola, just because that is a size 3 town with a little, takes you kind of into the southern part of the Confederacy, and then Matagorda, because that's where our cotton bales are sold from, so they're in Galveston. That's where I'm going to focus my defenses. Defenses being just, some probably 6-pound artilleries. Well, actually not 6-pound. Yeah, 6-pound artilleries in the towns with some militia. But then I'm going to put a rapid strike force. I like to call it that, although it may not be so rapid. Probably in like Columbus or Montgomery. And that's going to be a division-size army that will be able to respond to any kind of amphibious assault along the coast. Unless they bypass the forts, they're going to have to besiege them, which takes quite some time. But even if they got past the forts and went into New Orleans, for example, I'm going to have some time. I have a couple of turns to get my troops down there, more than likely, assuming I have properly sized up defenses in these towns. So that's the overall grand strategy in a nutshell. Obviously, use my raiders to get me some more money, but with that, let me take a quick, I'm going to pause here. I'm going to do some movements, and then what I'm going to do from henceforth, the videos are going to be as such. We're going to go through basically the message tabs down here. I'll probably think out loud with what my next strategy will be. We'll go through the battles that happen, that sort of thing. I will then pause the recording, do my movements and purchases and so forth, come back, show you everything that is about to happen, simulate the turn. That way there's not a lot of dead time of you watching me recruit troops or do movements. I will just summarize all that for you so you can see those sort of things. Also, I found that I probably didn't provide as much of a sneak peek preview of the particular units that were on the battlefield before things happened like I should have. So, for example, I will discuss, hey, look, I got General Beauregard here. He's got a Fort Defender level 1 and, Deceiver level 1. Here's Bartlow's brigade. He consists of so-and-so elements and so forth. That way we have a better idea of who actually is engaged in the conflict rather than just a snapshot of battles that happened and who the victor was. So, all right, so I will be right back. All right, real quick here. I'm going to move Beauregard into Fort Sumner. Got him on assault posture and all-out attack. That should take Fort Sumter for us. As far as decisions are concerned, we're building an artillery piece at Charleston, South Carolina. That's because what I'm going to do is I'm going to move 4 6-pound artillery and a supply train to New Orleans to build a fort there for my defense. So I'm going to start that now. And then we're building an ironclad. That was just kind of, that's the automatic. That was already happening. I put the rest of my resources into line infantry and light infantry. And then money into various card decisions. So I was kind of go back and forth in the export bale. You can get 15,000 immediate by using this. Or what you can do is you kind of roll the dice and hope that your smugglers can export stuff for 50,000 gain. I suspect that probably early in the game that's more likely to happen since the blockade isn't fully in effect. So I'm going to let the smugglers do their thing and hopefully we can get some money out of that. I am improving, I'm putting a telegraph line here at Columbus to improve the development. Part of the reason is that's going to be one of the main areas that I'm going to use to rapid response my force along the south here, since it's got a nice little cross area here down to Montgomery, down into that southern part here, across to Savannah and Charleston, and then I can also use it to go around and get down to Florida and whatnot. So I'm going to try and improve the developmental value there so that it's a little bit quicker to move. And then I'm using some cards up here I'm developing the land and clearing the area here. So I'm trying to improve that civilization level from 20 and track to at least get it to where it's like, 20 in road. So it'd be nice if I could build a road here. Reason being is it's going to be my conduit to Fayetteville. So I want to be able to go between those. So I'm doing that. And then finally I've got a bunch of demonstrations going on. One here at St. Louis. And then a couple over on the east. I ran out of money, so I wasn't able to do as many as I wanted. One in Baltimore, one in York, and then I want to hit Wilmington. Actually, the one here at York, I'm going to turn off and put it there. Again, the hope is I'll tear up the rail system, delay the forward action by the Union a little bit. And that's all the moves that I made this turn. So let's. Oh, and then I'm moving some of my raiders to Savannah, and then I'll group them up and then push them out to the shipping lanes out here. Oh, and then a final decision I made on the overall level, I'm requesting war bonds to increase my money flow. Alright, so we won. We lost some troops, but nothing else. Look like one turn's worth. It's good. Alright, cool. So let me set up the next turn and then we'll come back. That will be the next video. And as for those of you who are familiar with the game, I don't have to explain this, but those of you who are not familiar with this game, don't worry. Within a couple turns, a whole lot of stuff's going to start happening as units start populating the battlefield. And then by the summertime, it's pretty crazy. So thanks for watching, everybody.